Alright, what's going on, world? It's your boy Sambino, and you're tuning into the Real Sambino TV. And today we're going to finish up our tutorial in Acid Pro 7, DAW Station, and today we're talking about mixing vocals. Alright, now, though I'm using Acid Pro 7, you can use any DAW Station because it's all the same. All of them have the same function. They all do the same thing. It's not mandatory for Acid. Now, but I am going to tell you that I'm not using Acid plugins, Now, if you are using Acid or really any other DAW station, most people do buy other plugins. If you can't afford it, then you just do what you got to do. Use what you got to use. And most of the plugins they get the job done. So it's all right. Alright, so but we're gonna be looking at this right here. Okay, let me move this out of the way. It's getting on my nerves. Alright, we're gonna be looking at this vocal track for this song right here. I'm gonna let you hear a little bit of it, though you can't really hear it on stereo. I'm just let you hear it a little bit on mono. Alright, so this is my intro song to my upcoming album. And it's called The Foundation. This is the song name, The Foundation. So let's take a look at this vocal. This one right here. Alright, now anytime you're doing vocals, this is what I do. This is matter of fact, let me just start by saying this is all opinions and tips, nothing is a certain way. You don't have to do anything a certain way. Nothing is like standard, so anytime anybody giving you tips and stuff, just always take it as opinions. It's just not, but there are opinions that are better than others, so take it how it is. But this is how I do mine right here. Anytime I do a track, I usually cut any open space like that right there. This little clip, I don't know if you can see it, but this little peak right here, it probably ain't even, it's probably some noise, So that's why you want to you see how I got all these things cut right here? That's just open space, like air, pretty much, And so that's why I just cut them. So I can keep the track clean and nice, but you don't want to cut. You got to be very precise when you cut them, because sometimes you can say a word and it might be a dragging word, and you don't want to, you don't want to cut that dragging piece. You don't want to cut that dragging piece, because it might have a certain sound to it, and you might need it. It might make it sound ugly or bad if you cut it too much. So, and you might can't see it on the peak level. So be careful when you're cutting. And or some people just use a gate. They use a gate, So let's get right into it though. All right, you see we got our equalizer on here. And note, when you're equalizing, this is the most important tip. When you're equalizing, most people won't tell you, but you want to cut everything under 160. You know what I'm saying? Some people say 80 hertz or 120 hertz, but no. On vocals, cut everything under 160. It's not needed, And I'm not saying you have to, but it cuts for a better, clean vocal track. Everything under 160. As a matter of fact, when you start buying mics in the $400, $500 range, they have a switchboard that automatically cut anything under 160. So and that's the way you want to do that. All right, so let's listen to it for a second. Let's listen to it. This is gonna start it right here. This is my life and my story told later. I'm gonna cut all the plugins off so you can hear what it sounds like without the plugin. This is my life and my story told later, foundational stories. When I spit a word, copy. All right, you hear a little bit of static because it's a lot of stuff running on my computer, but that's not the vocals. But so all right, you see how loud it is, and it's just loud and unclean. But when we use the EQ, let's cut it on. We can see a signal, a spectrum of what's going on. This is my life and my story. You see how it sounds. When I spit a word, copyright that. And when I spit the word of God, you can bite that. You can have it, you can take it, man. I ain't tripping. Oh, you see how clean that sounds now? That sounds real clean and evened out, and it sounds real put together and more, just more clean all together. Like I say, that's everything under 160 I done cut. I use a cut, and basically if you and most EQs have this, some EQs don't. You gotta know which kind of EQ you're dealing with. You need to deal with some kind of not a parametric but a paragraphic EQ, I believe, or I think it's called parametric, I think. But you don't want to deal with an EQ like this with just tremble, mid, and low. You don't want to deal with something like that. You want to deal with something that can cut and exert and like do the basic function needs if you need to cut something or add something. And note that most vocals, when people are rapping, especially if you're rapping, when you saying words like them S words or them hard S's, most of the time that's gonna be around 7,000 kilohertz. And see right here, you can, with these kind of EQs, you can cut that, without even, you can cut that without even having to use a de-esser. Though I do have a de-esser on here. And by the way, this is the Sonallsis SV517 equalizer. I do have other equalizers, such as the Focusrite plugins, Oxford plugins, and SSL plugins. Those plugins work real great. And okay, and so this is basically the equalization of your track. And depending on how you record, because every vocal is different, everybody have a different voice, you got to work around. You got to work around to work around the track to getting that put how you want it. Basically, like my low ends be real high because my voice is real deep, so I have to cut that down just a little bit. You see how I got that right there? And I raise my mids up because voices are heard. The ear picks up the 32 kilohertz of sound. Our ears pick that up. So this is what your ear is really hearing. I'm not saying it's not hearing all that, but this is really what sticks out. I'm not saying add a whole bunch of that. I'm not saying add that all the way up, but I do on this track specifically. I got it cut up a little bit. I think I got it cut up by 1.5 decibels. You can see right here. Went up to 2.7, but I'm gonna cut it down to 1.5. And you see I got an extrusion on. I got a cut right here on 7 point. What is it at? It was actually on 6.5 kilohertz because that's where my peak. It was getting real loud right there. So and this is a good EQ because it has a spectrum of what you're gonna deal with. What needs to be cut and what don't. You see? And I also have a high peak right here as well. And you see it's really peaking right here, and that's really usually what it does. You know, it usually be high around this area, but you know, you gotta be careful with it. But I mean, you know, and I raised the high ends a little bit just to give it more presence and more feel to it. But yeah, okay. And so, and then you got your different types of shells on the EQ as well. I mean, you know, you just deal with that how you know how to. But and like I say, you got, you know, you just make cuts and 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 add-ons as you need. You know, usually when you're dealing with vocals, you just want to do cuts other than really raising high ends. You don't want to just add a whole bunch of this on there. You don't want to do that. You know, it's not necessary. You know, you rather do cuts before you know, just do add on or like raising the high. This is what most people do. They raise this up real high. You don't do that. You know, and you can raise it a little bit, you know, but not too high. I really prefer not even raising it. You know, I just got to raise on this track because this track needed it. And that's how really mixing is. It's like that's why it's no certain way to mix, because you just got to go with the ears, you know. And if you don't have the ears for it, then you just really kind of got to send it to somebody that got the ears for it, you know. So, but uh, like I say, most important tip of this session right here is really going to be cutting your 160 kilohertz. Right here, you can see it right here, 166. I got it on 166. I usually sometimes take it to 170, but you can take it to 160. You know, that'll be okay. You know, because all this is just nothing. You know, it's just nothing back there. I'm gonna let you look at it.
This is my life and my story. So lay the foundation, no stories. When I spit a word, copyright that. And when I spit the word of God, you can bite that. You can have it, you can take it, man. I ain't tripping. I'm never
You
tripping,
see,
just slipping.
it's
I be Lord gripping.
just mud under there.
They wanna know how I did that. It's only by the grace of God that I did that. And they be hollering out and
See, it's just mud under there, so you don't want that in your track. But this right here will conclude our session on equalizing. Next, I will be doing on compression and how to compress vocals, different types of vocals, because there are different types of compression for different vocals, such as girls or male voices or singing voices or low voices. But I'm gonna tell you. So, all right, this concludes this session.